I'm Robbie Love, and I'm here with,
Andrea Radulescu.
and this is Unconditional Love Talks, which is just basically love without condition. And we're just gonna kind of chat about it because we got some very real world stuff coming up for us. And yeah, we're just gonna kind of dive into it. Again, what it is. I mean, unconditional love is, I feel like a lot of people get it. I guess I'll just go ahead and say they get it wrong. The thing with being unconditional loving is you really have to be unconditionally loving with yourself, not just the world outside of you, but also being loving with yourself doesn't necessarily mean that you put up with behavior outside of yourself. And that can be this tricky place to try to navigate. Right. And we can be really good at like giving love to others. We can be so good at it that we actually stop practicing unconditional love for ourselves. In that process, I know that that's been one of mine and one of my big things that I've been going through recently. And it's interesting how the universe just beats you over the head with it, with, a loving stick and then a 2x4 and then eventually like a Mack truck, filled with a bunch of loving giant logs that runs you over until you get the point. And the point is you have to have that proper balance. Yeah. That kind of space. And I know
Yeah,
you're kind of going through it right now. Do you want to talk about it a little bit?
yeah, I do, because
Okay.
it's the exact time to talk about it because
Yes.
it's warm, it's hot actually. I realized that exactly what you said, that the unconditional love is also based on receiving love, and all my life, especially since I became a therapist and I've been working with people, I was focused on giving love, and that was easy, amazingly easy. I love loving people. Like I fall in love with each and every person that I work with. That's the way I do a great job. I love them completely with everything they have. And I forget about myself, and I'm not used to receiving love. And I'm gonna start crying. Whew. And the first thing that popped into my mind about this was last year when I was in a situation where somehow it was a really loving situation, and I felt I should take myself out of that room, of that conversation with a person that I truly love with all my soul. And he was like completely shocked. He was like, "No, where are you going? Stay here." And I was shocked. I was expecting to hear something like, "You know what? Okay, it's enough. Let's talk the next days, or let's take a break." And when I saw that it's not happening, I was not used to receiving that kind of love from someone. And it was the first time that I realized that. And now it popped out today, actually. But the past few days, but today really, I don't know, really powerful. I realized that I'm not comfortable when it comes to receiving love. I know that I deserve it, but I'm not comfortable receiving it. And I know it's a great part of a relationship, so I guess this is what I'm learning right now, and this is the next phase that I just stepped into, because I felt today it was a really important day for me. I don't know why. I just knew the 26th of January. I don't know if something else is going to happen today, but at this point, a huge thing happened to me. I realized that it doesn't matter who's gonna love me. It doesn't have to be a specific person. I just need to allow myself to receive love from any person that wants to give me love. So that's what I'm doing. And it's mind-blowing. It's overwhelming. It's so weird and hard.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on like, because you're a powerful divine feminine. What are your thoughts on that space, because I would imagine I've always kind of felt that it's really pretty common that, you know, a powerful divine feminine is not used to somebody that can hold space for her or be in that space to where she can actually surrender and all that kind of stuff. Do you feel that that's part of it, as far as the being able to receive love not being met per se, or no?
Yeah, I think it's part of who we should be as divine feminines.
Yeah.
And it's shocking for me that I'm realizing this just now. And it's shocking how it came out of the blue. I was completely fine. I was happy, at peace with everything. And then boom. So, yeah, I think it's important for us because we are strong women. We were taught to be strong. We have immense power. And because of that, we are just used to be happy or connected and peaceful on our own. But the whole journey actually includes someone else, includes a divine masculine that should hold space for us to grow and to just be. It's a weird feeling that I'm getting, that I cannot be in my complete power without a man. I know it's weird. It's not codependency. It's not something that I depend upon. It's just something that I know that can grow my power. A man holding space for me to be who I actually am. It's a really important piece.
Yeah. And it always, there's this very interesting, and I would imagine that it's social engineering based, but like we're born into, there's really primarily two different types of bodies, right? You either have a female body or a male body, right? And then we have, you know, all the different gender aspects and things like that, or where people are identifying. But when you look at energy, there's masculine and feminine. That's the energy. Even when you talk about same-sex partnerships or things of that nature, if there's a healthy connection, or even, I guess, even an unhealthy connection, there's always that polarity. You know, so we've got the physical polarity, if you will, and then you've got the energetic polarity. So it's how we're designed in this incarnate dimension, or however you want to look at it. It's really how we're designed. So it's really quite interesting how we have these ideas of we don't, quote unquote, need somebody else, or we make wanting somebody else or wanting that connection wrong. Need can come from this space of lack, like I'm incomplete, but there's still a polarity. There's still a draw. It's like you don't have electrical current unless there's movement. Like either the positive or the negative by itself does nothing. It does nothing. It's just there. There's no movement. It doesn't work like that. You have to have the opposite polarity, and then you have in movement. You know, and from electronics, you know, electrical DC current moves one particular direction, which there's debate around that. But AC current, which is the plug you have in the wall, alternating current, it's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, right? And that really kind of, to me, fits with the connection. So there's this aspect of giving and receiving. But I think where a lot of us get really messed up is that we're not aware. We're not conscious. We have to really be in our bodies. We have to really be in kind of a more healed state to notice when there's these different things that are coming up. And then from there, being able to have the skills, I guess, to be able to practice conscious communication. And then you can have the dance, right? We have to have all the equipment and all the things that we need. And the venue and all that, and then you can have the dance. But there's no dance if it's, well, I mean, I guess you can dance by yourself, but whatever. I don't, there's this, it's so fascinating to me. So fascinating.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Whether we're talking about love or we're talking about energy or whatever, growth, expansion, all of it. It's all the returning to love.
Yeah. And in the past week, I've been having, I don't know how many examples, 3, 4, which is a lot, of people getting into these soul connection relationships. 2 of them, I think, they are in a twin flame relationship, just starting, and they are mind blown by what's happening. And the others, I'm not sure yet. And it's fascinating how they don't know they have a soul connection. They just see it as a 3D relationship where there are some parts which cannot be explained, some feelings that cannot be explained. And both of the partners are scared of their feelings. And for me, it's fascinating how they can get to that place. So they are ready. They met their twin, let's say. And they don't know that these kind of connections exist and that love, true love in a relationship, true connection exists. People don't know that. They don't. And I've been having conversations about this for a few months now with everyone. Almost no one knows. And we need to say that, like, really loud. There are soul connections here on earth. You can have an ideal connection, well, with the work that you put, but it's ideal in your way. Here on earth, you shouldn't stay in a relationship in which you compromise over and over again and in which you are unhappy.
Yeah.
And for me, it really is mind-blowing that people don't know. And I think it's our responsibility to shout it. Guys, on earth, there are 2 types of soul connections, really powerful soul connections. The first one and the strongest one and the craziest one is a twin flame connection. You want it and you don't want it. That's a really big story. And the other type is a soulmate connection, which comes also with an ideal love, a true connection from soul to soul. And it is possible in this time that we are living right now on earth, it is possible for you to meet a soulmate or your twin, depends, or both of them. And not every person here on earth has the twin flame incarnated in this time. But for sure you have a soulmate, and you shouldn't settle for nothing less than that, because true love really exists, and happiness.
Yeah. I mean, looking at the twin flame relationship, looking at these different spiritual type relationships, but also how it all kind of connects with the 5D and the movement towards that. We really, and I know need is such a loaded word, but we really do need those relationships. Because it's a reflection. It's like you have to have the movement to have the growth. It's like, what? You had something there.
Yes, for me it's still shocking, mind-blowing, overwhelming, and I don't know, all these kind of words. How a twin flame connection somehow activates you. It's crazy what you can feel in that connection. It's crazy. I think it's the best word. And nothing like, I think meeting a perfect person is just for you. So imagine that God put here on earth a person that's more than you could ever dream from a person. And then, so you see that person, you realize the connection, you feel it for a little bit, and then God takes that person away. I think this is the best motivation for a person to grow. For me, like, I keep thinking, why? Because of that, because our twins are perfect. They are perfect in any way, at least for me. I cannot find any bad thing to say at this point, now that I'm healed. In the past months, it has been different. But right now, I see my twin perfect. So I know that other persons see their twins too perfect. So this is the best motivation for a human being that's not fully aware of what's happening to start working on themselves. Even if you say, if you're not working on yourself, you're going to die. You're going to leave this planet. It's not motivation enough. But when you see a perfect partner, like more than perfect for you, and you feel that connection and you feel that happiness that's it's out of this world, and then God takes it away, you want it back, and you're going to do anything to get it back. Yeah, sorry, I interrupted you, I think.
No, it's good. Yeah, there's this, a couple things came to mind as you were talking there. One, I have this graphic that I drew out that needs to get turned into something that's a little bit more digestible, not just something that I scratched on a tablet. But it has to do with, it's that analogy of climbing the mountain. And the path it's like we have these paths where we come together with them and then go apart, come together, go apart. And when I was in the physical union of it, or the physical experience of that relationship, one thing that really seemed really apparent was that issues and things would come up. Like we're drawn together, the issues would come up, things would get shaken around a lot, sometimes violently. And once we were able to clear it, then we get a little bit closer. And then I see it when there was things where we didn't know how to handle it, or maybe one of the people didn't know, or whatever. It's always but there's always a balance to it from what I've seen. Then they break apart, and then they figure it out, and then they come back together. That is like my understanding of how it goes. Now, whether that's you're in physical proximity with the relationship, there's still a coming together and a moving apart, a coming together and a moving apart, like as it kind of goes. And then that movement, to me, seems to really help us feel present when we're aware of it. But the thing that people don't have is they don't really know how to handle it. And a lot of society is really messed up on what relationship even is. And a lot of it, in my understanding or viewpoint, is that it is very socially engineered into our cultures, and it's by design. It's by design to keep those type of connections actually apart. So there's that foundation that we need, because we actually want to be triggered. We want to feel our emotions. We want to have these peak states. We want these things. It's just like our bodies in like our physical bodies. We have this idea or notion that we just want to be comfortable all the time. That is the exact opposite thing that we actually need. Like, we know this now. We now understand that like our physical bodies, just talking about temperature. I mean, look at all the cryotherapy, all the cold, things that people are doing, cold water dips, all that kind of stuff. You need that contrast. You need that constant contrast. And that's actually that's the healthiest that we can be from that perspective. And then we've got all these things around love, like what you were talking about, like falling in love with your clients. That has been my experience as well. Like way back when I started doing as an NLP practitioner, I thought something was, it's so funny, like all the different spaces I've been in of feeling like more love, more unconditional love, like this kind of stuff. Every time I thought, oh, there's something wrong with me. There's definitely something wrong with me. And I didn't have the distinction at that point because we're not raised or trained that way. And I think that's what a lot of our work in the world is helping people understand what that is and giving them the tools that they need and the insight and the perspective to be able to feel more love for themselves, more love for, people that they're in relationship with, all that kind of stuff. Because there is a very healthy way that you can go about this. It doesn't have to come with, a ball and chain to use a metaphor that I'm not attacking marriage or anything like that. I mean, do what works for you. Do what you feel drawn to. Do what you're both a fuck yes to. But you have to be aware. You have to be really conscious. You have to be around people. You have to have coaches that can give you perspective. You have to have community where you can take these things too that is healthy and doesn't have judgment within it, and is in this advice space and all that, where people are actually open to actually hearing you and trying to understand where you're coming from. From that particular space, then we can start navigating relationship and our emotions and really truly healing and feeling all this kind of stuff. And for people that are really designed to be able to really show other people love, it's so interesting how they are oftentimes, and I've been in this space as well, and it's always a constant progression. And if I may be so bold, it's one of the biggest reasons I believe that my twin and I are not together right now, is because it blew her out big time. And whether she's aware of that or not, it's like we're like, oh, we're out in the world. I just want to be loved. I just want to be loved. And then when somebody really loves you, it scares the fucking shit out of you. And people crash it. And they don't realize it. It's like they put goggles on and they're just like, oh, nope, it's bad.
I actually think that this is the reason for, at least for the twin flame connections, this is the reason that the runner runs, because he's scared about the immensity of feelings. Yeah, it hit me when you said that, because
it is, because, but why are they running though? It's back to, I don't want to love that much. I don't want to be that connected to somebody that much, because what happens when they're not there? Maybe I can't function. What happens if they die? What am I going to do then? So they push it away, and there's all kinds of interesting things that starts happening in somebody's psychology, and these are not like phenomenons that are like some kind of mystery. If you talk about somebody that, just looking at like human behavior, somebody that steals from somebody, they have to lower the other person's value. They have to, in some particular way, to justify, because people, in what I've observed, what I've experienced, what I've seen, people will do anything to stay out of the really low vibrations. Shame, guilt. I've seen really great people do just terrible things to avoid shame and guilt, to really nice people, and their psychology will shift everything to justify being atrocious to somebody. So, and that sucks, but it's So there's a lot, there's a lot of work that we have to do and demonstrate. And for those of us that are really good at loving other people, you know, like we can get so good at loving somebody else, they don't, like, we know what they want before they do.
Yeah.
And we're always there to catch and provide and show and all that kind of stuff. But that's not really healthy relationship. It really isn't. You have to have that balance.
Yeah.
There has to be the hot and cold of it.
For me, it was shocking when I was in a normal relationship, my last normal relationship, and I was doing everything. Like, I was attending to any needs that he had. I was completely there. So I offered everything, and somehow the relationship was not working. And I was shocked, like, what am I supposed to do? What can I do more? And when I found out that I need to do less for him, and I need to give him space to be a man, how? Like, it was a completely new concept to me. But he's a man. What do you mean? But these concepts are so messed up these days. Us women are supposed to function in our masculine energy almost all our lives, at school, especially at work. We need to be in our masculine energy. And then we get home in our relationships. Either if it's like a twin flame or a normal relationship, it doesn't matter. And we realize that we don't get along, and we keep having all kinds of small or big conflicts with our partners. And most of the time, the key is in balancing the polarity in the relationship and knowing exactly who's who in that relationship and accepting that. And for us women, just surrender to that energy of just be.
Yeah.
It's shocking that we grew up completely in a completely opposite way. But as I said before about soul connections, it's the same thing, that we need to shout that, guys, it's so important for you to understand in which energy you need to function more in order for life to get easier and for your relationship to be happy. It's so important. And I just got this, I don't know, in the past few months, and it completely changed my life. Now I get everything that's happening in any relationship, because I can see that men also need to be men. And I realized that when us women step into our masculine energy and we try to live with a partner that is also in the masculine energy, it's so weird. It's like ego versus ego. I don't know. It's so weird. Something happens there that we get rejected by our partners, and we don't know why. That's why. Because it's unnatural, I don't know how to say, for us to function in that energy. And yeah, and I know that you talk about this in your Twin Flame Masters program, and it's a huge part of the new world. It's huge, and I didn't know about it until last year. I don't know, I didn't understand it.
Yeah. How I see it is, so like I have the self-mastery 6 and the 5D mastery 5, and they're just these, and really number one is consciousness. Like, we have to become more aware. That is the base state, and that's the biggest thing that's holding us back, is we're just not aware. We're not aware of what's going on. We're on autopilot most of the time, so we don't even really notice what we're even doing. But number two is I call it divine mastery, and that's where we have the masculine and feminine. But I see it as we have to have balance in both. Like, if you look at it as far as just a gender or general norm that is existing out there, is we need our women to be more women or more feminine. And I know that there's all the, different identified genders and things like that, but just talking about like energy of, or just talking about a sovereign individual. All right. We've got masculine and feminine traits. And like how I look at this is that we want to have a balance of where we're healed in both aspects. And then there's both aspects also have like the wounded feminine, the wounded masculine that exist in all of us as well. So we want to heal the wounded aspects, but then also be able to practice so that we have a range of behavior. Like a lot of men need a lot more feminine. They really need to like grow into their feminine more. And there's a lot of pushback, I would say, from society and how we're wired and all that, but you do want to have that range. The thing is, from there, it's like you're on the balls of your feet. You're able to move in whatever direction you need to. So, like if I'm with a baby, I'm in my feminine. Right? If the baby needs protection, I'm in my masculine. And so you can be loving and nurturing, and you can be in that space. So to me, it's all about range of behavior. Then when you're talking about interaction in a relationship, understanding what your primary role is, and that's not gender specific, but understanding what your energy is predominantly, then you can know what to do, or you can at least have an idea because you can move in that particular direction, whatever it is, as an individual. Whether you're identified primarily as masculine, then you may need to move in your feminine more in a particular area or in a particular situation. But you have that range of movement. It's just like people, like, we don't want to live in a society where there's war. But on the same token, that doesn't mean you throw away your sword. It means you have a sword, you know how to use it, you're very good at being able to use it, but you keep it sheathed unless you need to. And it is through having that consciousness mastery that you're then able to discern what actually needs to happen or not in the moment as things are moving, because you have all of these different tools available to you. So you can just feel it. Then from there, so it's like these two big metaphors that I use, like when I'm doing classes or coaching or whatever, is one, we're climbing a mountain because we need the movement. We have to keep going, so it brings things up. Because if you're not moving, there's nothing coming up, or you're unaware. Then the other one is surfing. It's paying attention to where you're at, what needs to move, what needs to be said, what doesn't, like that kind of stuff. Really noticing. And it's not from a space of like in a relationship, you check all the boxes and you do this in this particular sequence. No, it's much more like surfing. You feel the wave, and then you're able to speak on it, talk about it if you need to. You're able to really feel into it, and then you can ride this energy. And that can look all kinds of different ways. But when we have all this different range of behavior that we're not pushing against and all that, then that is the healthy experience from the way that I see it. Yeah.
I think so too. And it's really important to understand how we function. Because when we buy something like a TV or something, we have instructions. We are not born with instructions, but we need them. Because we were raised in a almost completely opposite way of connecting to our essence. And now we need instructions to go back to our essence.
Yep.
So, yeah, when it comes to not only masculine and feminine energy, everything, when it comes to energy and relationships and the new world that's here already, we need to know how to function, how this body functions, how this being interacts in a healthy way with other human beings.
Yep.
We really do need instructions, although it's weird.
Yep.
We need them. We need them. The world is and has been completely different from what we were shown. The world is not bad. People are not bad, mean. They're just hurt. And there are good people on earth. And during the holiday season in December, I got a really huge topic for me that I need to digest. And I cried a lot because I ran into a clip on TikTok, a short clip that was saying that people are not used. So it was someone talking directly to the person watching the movie. And it was something like, people don't know that you truly are kind and good, and that you truly love them and love the world around you, and that you truly have good intentions all the time. They don't understand you because they have never met a person like you. And it's okay. You don't have to be sad that they don't understand you. And that's when I started crying. You just need to continue to be like that, and they will start believing that they can be like that too, and that these type of persons actually exist. And they will start turning into that person. For me, It was, I don't know, it hit something inside when I heard that. Because all the time when we are good, I don't know how I came to this topic, but I'm gonna finish it. People are questioning our intentions all the time because they are not used to people doing good deeds or just being kind. And I think we should also somehow talk about this more, shout about it if necessary. People are good. If someone is mean at some point, it's just because that person is hurt and needs love more than anything at that point.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Off topic.
No, it's good. It's good. It can get kind of challenging when we're trying to figure out what being loving looks like. Because sometimes the loving thing to do, and this is where it gets tricky, because a lot of times a situation happens between two people, there's judgment. You know, this person made me feel this way, or that person is broken in some particular way. And so, you know, get away from them. But the movement might be, it might still be that you move away from the person, or you set a healthy boundary. And a lot of these things are abused in huge ways. Like boundaries, I have people abuse boundaries constantly, especially spiritual people. Spiritual people, I love them. Some of them are the most stuck people I've ever met. They are just so stuck and so blind, and they're so convinced that they've got it all figured out. They know what they're doing, and they can be some of the most blind people I've ever seen. And because I've had that awareness, I have to then turn that on myself or towards myself because it's in my observation that I see this. So then I have to really turn and look at, okay, am I being blind in particular ways? Am I not observing, something that is it's obvious to everybody else around me, but I can't seem to see it? Even if everybody around me tells me 1,000 times, am I missing something? Because if it's inner awareness, there is a reason. That or would it be in our inner awareness? And it's trying to figure out what those things are trying to tell us, where it gets really dicey and challenging. That's why we need coaches. That's why we need community. That's why we need that outside reflection. But you can't receive it unless you're in a space of being open. So now we're back to awareness. Where am I really at? What am I really feeling? And it's that space of being willing to do whatever it takes to be able to get that next step or that next thing or whatever it is, so that you can progress and be open. But until you're in a space to really consider that you are all things, and you have all these different aspects, and you might be not seeing something clearly, until you get in that space of being curious, being able to swing the closet doors wide open and look at all the skeletons that may or may not be in there, and look at all the dusts and the nooks and the crannies and the dark spots, until you're willing to actually really do that, most people are just walking around completely blind. And and I'm also having an awareness of, when I say blind, it's almost like that's a negative judgment. Sometimes being blind is the best thing when you're talking about physical, a physical situation where you actually can't see, because it heightens your other senses and things like that. So I don't want to have a negative connotation around the word, but what I'm saying, I guess, more is unawareness. Maybe that's it. The opposite of being open and aware, being curious, having that childlike curiosity, and understanding what actually is the point. Why are we even doing all this? Why did we choose to be incarnate in a body? To have the experience, and that can be all these different things in every possible way. And really that's the part that makes sense. So then we come back to really, I don't know, what do we come back to? We come back to our current experience, and our current experience, like right now, like for me, I'm on a call with Andrea, right? Andrea, you're on a call with me. We're having the particular experience that we're recording something. We are both like, I don't feel like it's ego or anything like that. We're both phenomenal coaches. Like I know this. We just are. We're very good at what we do, and I feel fine saying that. I don't feel a bunch of ego in it. It just is. It's like, here's my right hand, here's my left hand. It just is. It's just, there it is. There it is. I can see it. I have the experience of it. I can, do all these different things. So I don't feel like it's a negative thing to say. And I think now I'm going off on a big tangent, and why, I don't know. What is the point? The point is the movement. The point is the awareness. The point is the having the conversation. The point is challenging all these different beliefs and all this different stuff as to what got us to this particular point. Yeah.
And the first step is to acknowledge that there are persons that know better, and that you should reach for help. Even us, we reach for help. I reach for your help when I need it.
Mm-hmm. Same.
And I don't know that there were amazing things that I learned since I've known you, and you've been working with me as a coach, my coach. And we need to step out of our ego, even if we are coaches or not, normal people doing anything else. to step out of our egos and just accept that there are persons that know better and that they can lead you on the shortest version of your road to where you need to be. And you just need to accept, okay, I don't know this, I don't know what to do. I need to reach for help and do it. It's so easy when you have someone to guide you step by step and to see everything from a higher perspective. You're gonna get there. You're gonna get that higher perspective eventually. But at that point, accept that you need someone to see things for you and explain those things for you. And accept that there are persons that are here on earth with this mission to guide other people. Reach out to them because this is their mission, to guide you. There's no one else better to guide you on this than the persons that are actually here for that. It's
Yep. Yeah, and we all need it. I need it as well. Like we really do need each other. It is the interaction that we have between each of us that really it's just necessary.
Yes, and to be really, really honest and fully transparent, us, like coaches and therapists, are humans too. And to be really transparent, before recording this, we were talking and I started crying because I'm going through something. I'm not a bad thing. I'm releasing something. I'm processing some emotions and some decisions. And I cried. And it's okay. We do this too. We go through stuff too. And we reach for help when we need it. And we accept when we go through something. We don't ignore it. Yep. That's the difference. When we are not aligned, we know that something is happening. So we stop what we're doing and start processing what's happening to us. That's what I did. And I think I almost went through it completely. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yep. What else to say about that? It's just a beautiful process. It's just a beautiful process. And
Indeed.
Crying is a good thing. Crying is a good thing. It really is. Like feeling the emotions and all that. It's important.
You know, I realized, and I was talking to a client last week, that I think us humans have the need to feel. And when we have a day or two where we don't feel, we don't allow ourselves to just stay put for 2-3 minutes and feel something, really connect to something, to a movie, to a person, to a feeling. That's when our feeling battery goes down and we feel different. We feel like not at ease. We feel that something is missing. We are almost in an anxious state. And I truly believe that we have the need to feel. And it's a really important... I realized this just recently. It's a new discovery for me. I haven't got the chance to share it with you either. At least for me, I know that I have the need to feel. So when I need that, either I put a movie that makes me feel. Even if I start crying, I feel. So I get my battery up and I get more balanced. Or I connect to people that make me feel. So, yeah, it really is a beautiful process when you understand what's happening and allow yourself to feel. And when you don't feel, take some moment and feel.
Yep. Feel into it.
Yeah.
I love that. And it's the same. It's the same for all of us. And like as you were talking there, I was thinking about like different feeling spaces. Like one, I'm very consciously aware that when I am in physical proximity with the person that I identify as my twin flame, I don't want to be anywhere else. And it doesn't even matter what's going on. Like I was very cognitive that the entire world could be burning to the ground and I'm good. If I'm just like, I'm physically touching, her sitting, like I had this thought when I was laying next to her, actually, probably a year ago. And I think it was around a year ago. And it was just really clear. There was just nowhere else. I just was very at peace, and it didn't matter what the external circumstances were at all. It did not matter at all. Just very, very much, this is home. And that's my feeling that when I've been with her, that's my feeling when, I look into her eyes. Her and I have the identical same eyes. They look. You could take my eyes out of my head, put them in hers, and you would notice the difference. They're identical. And it's interesting how the world reflects that. Like when her and I were first hanging out together, like a random child ran up and said, "You two have the exact same eyes," and then took off. And then we went and looked in the mirror and we were like, "Oh my God, we do. They're the same everything." And that scares the fucking shit out of some people. It scares them. But it's not because they don't want to be loved. It's because there's a wounded aspect inside them, or inside all of us in some regard, that we just can't handle that kind of loss. So what do? We push it away. And oftentimes we don't realize we're doing that. And I'm not saying everybody does that in every situation if you experience any kind of separation. But it's being aware. It's being aware of noticing how things feel, noticing the emotions, all that kind of stuff. And that can take quite a bit to be able to do that. And then,
what about having the courage to, admit what you're feeling?
Yeah. And having the courage to say it and it not be reciprocated, or it being rejected, or getting a yeah, but. And then I can just speak as far as I'll go ahead and say divine masculine, because I think in that particular situation, I can claim that. I try to be really careful with that word, because there's a lot of these different spiritual words people are just throwing around. And no, like every relationship is not a twin flame relationship. Sorry, it isn't. Every man out there that is identified as masculine is not a divine masculine. And I don't give a shit how spiritual you are if you look the part. A lot of the people that look the part are not the part. They're just not. You're not embodying it. You just aren't. Sorry. So, but anyways, what was my point with that? I just went off on a tangent.
About admitting what you feel, having the courage to.
Oh, okay, yes. So, like, from the divine masculine, thank you. From the divine masculine perspective, I fucking know what needs to happen. I know it. No doubt. A lot of the time. Now, it depends on who I'm interacting with. And if they're able to be in that space to allow, like, especially if you're talking about like divine masculine, divine feminine type situation, there are innate gifts that each seem to resonate and have. And as far as the divine masculine goes, you just know, and you can feel it. You can really feel it. There are different, like when I think back around a year ago or so, I could feel where things needed to go, like specifically like with my twin. I could feel it. It was so clear to me, no doubt. However, you have to be in the space to be open for them to be able to find their yes, to be able to follow that particular energy. And sometimes it takes people a long way around to finally get to the space to where they can just receive what it is that is there. Now, whether you want to look at that as the energy between two people and it's the third, and however you want, but As far as how it feels in my body, I already knew. It's just like a lot of divine feminines. They just know. They just know a lot of things. There's not as many divine masculines that have been in my awareness that are aware of their gifts as far as that goes. So in that particular, I guess, peak state, if you will, if you want to call it that, is the divine masculine knows and the divine feminine surrenders. But the divine masculine knows what needs to happen based off of his full-on attention on her and where she's at and what needs to particularly happen. So it's a beautiful dance, and I would say it's the energy between the two of them that is guiding the particular situation. But it's still like the divine masculine, just putting it to a base level is he knows what the next step is. And for the divine feminine, she just needs to be in the space of being willing to allow him to guide, but he's guiding based on her. So yeah, it can be quite interesting and very nuanced and very tricky. But the very simple state that I see things is, as far as that type of relationship or any conscious relationship, where they need to come from is being aware in their own bodies, paying attention, have the communication, be healed enough, but also can understand that there's always going to be healing, in my understanding, and then being able to not be in a codependent space where they can be in this space of where they can move. Then they have the communication where they're seeking understanding and owning how they feel and all this kind of stuff. Then from there, you can start to do relationship. But without having a lot of those different things in place, oh my God, it's just watching people like run full speed, or move around a room and they're just bashing into each other and running into walls, and they're just like, why is this so hard? Because you don't have the base understandings, because you don't have the base tools. It's like, what do you expect? And I think the thing that's bigger than that is just, the people that set a lot of that stuff in the programming in place for people that they're just operating. I'm just like, it's like set up all the pins so they can just smash into each other and have this whatever experience. Anyways, there's a whole bigger conversation around why that's particularly in place. But it really is time for all of us to have these base understandings and be practicing these things to actually have the kind of relationships that work.
And even more, there are some big changes coming up, really soon. As far as I've been feeling, and also I've been reading on the internet similar opinions, these first months of this year are so important because somewhere around the end of April, so in a few months, the world is actually going to divide into new earth and old earth, new world, old world. And at this point, you really need to know which one is which and where you want to be. It's obvious. But anyway, you need to have this kind of understanding. You need to know what's going on, why life gets harder by the minute. Because if you don't understand what's happening and you're not doing your work, life is hard. It's fucking hard. And you don't know why. You don't know exactly what you did wrong. And it's now we do have like a time bomb on our hands. We do. April is so close. It's so close. It's mind-blowing. And then when the world is going to be divided, it's going to be about heaven or hell on earth. And I know it sounds tough, every time I talk about this, I say that I know it sounds tough, and it is tough. It's not a joke anymore. It's not theory anymore. It's something that's happening, that people have been talking about for decades. Dolores Cannon has been talking about it for I don't know how many years, and she has been saying the exact same things that we are saying right now. And the time is now. The changes are happening right now, and if you're not understanding what's happening, you really need to reach out to someone that knows what's happening and can guide you through these changes. Because there's no time left. I don't want to scare anyone. It's not like the last thing I want is scare anyone. No, I want you to be at peace and really in love, in a love state, knowing that there are solutions and that there are persons knowing what to do and that can help you. But literally, there is no time.
Yeah. Do you see it that after April, it's going to be kind of a hard divide, or do you see people being able to jump from I would say being able to move from the 3D aspects after that point into more of the 5D journey? Or do you see it as like the choice, that's a real big choice point?
It's a really big choice point, but not that severe, in a sense that, for example, let's say that this is the line, this is the 3D, this is the 5D. Mm-hmm. If you are really close to the line, to the edge, going to the 5D, you can hop on the 5D train. But if you are really far from the edge, from the limit, going to the 5D, you're just gonna stay on the 3D for a few more months, I think. Let's say, I don't know. It's hard to say, but for a really short period of time until your soul is going to leave this planet for good.
Yeah.
I know it's a hard thing to hear about this. We are not the only ones talking about it. But you need to know.
Yep. And I'm right there with you. And before all this, how do I want to reference it? I'll just say it is before all the COVID type stuff hit, I knew that there was a very big mission and coming. I could feel it. I mean, I've known it my whole life in one regard, but and I knew that my interaction with my twin was very critical. It was critical that needed to happen. And at the time, though, I didn't have the tools to be able to really understand that. I didn't see how it was possible that I could do that particular mission, or this mission that we're clearly on now, as far as helping usher in the conscious evolution. At the time, my twin and I were working on a project called Project Critical Mass, and it never came into manifested reality. I think we did a lot of things energetically, but it was all about getting the tipping point, the 51%, to where we really could help usher in the conscious evolution. But that's what a lot of this stuff is. It's this conscious awareness of a movement, which is now we understand really just a movement towards unconditional love, raising your vibration, being those different pieces of it. And this is one thing that I wanted to ask you, and I'm just going to ask you here. So I've kind of broken it down into we have these base things to really pay attention to, as far as how do we know if we're on the 5D journey versus the 3D journey. And so I'm saying that the 3D journey, as I see it, the most simplified form that I can see so far is we have the raising of the vibration, the emotional frequency, to a love or a 500 hertz level and above. So we've got love, joy, peace, and enlightenment. Enlightenment goes from 700 I guess, hurt us and above, around 2,000, I guess. So it's having that predominant vibration as being one of the critical factors as to whether you're going to be on the 5D journey or stay on the 3D journey, or 4D, I guess 4D and 3D. And 4D, I think, is that space where you're talking about where you're able to, there's still a little bit of time to be able to hop over. Then from there, we have some people, and Dolores Cannon refers to it as karma. You have to heal all of your karma. Now, I feel like that there's possibly a buffer period. So you're on your 5D journey, but you're still healing certain aspects of karma. And karma is kind of a funny word, and it's what Dolores Cannon uses. But karma, I kind of put in brackets of healing wounded aspects. So it's our wounds, it's our shadow self, like that kind of stuff is kind of my thought on it. And there's different ways that I go into explaining it, but it's healing that, healing those aspects. And then the third one is practicing unconditional love for ourselves and the world outside of ourselves, which I think really is more of a demonstration of these other two key points: raising the vibration, healing the karma. Can you think, does that land with you? Can you think of anything I'm particularly missing as far as that goes? And there's all kinds of things underneath all of that to be able to produce those things. But when we talk about, and they're all kind of stuck together. Like I could say, one, it's the vibration, but you also have the healing of the karma, and then we have the demonstration. Anyways, any thoughts on that?
Yes, first, and this doesn't mean that someone is wrong.
Yeah.
It's just a different, I don't know, not even point of view. It's just I use terms differently, in a sense that I use karma only when it comes to having, like, let's say, karmic debts from past lives, or something to balance between you and another person. You did something to another person and you somehow gained some bad karma, and you need to balance it to pay the debt. So that's when I use karma.
Okay.
When it comes to healing wounds, I just call it healing the wounds. I think it's easier for me to I don't know why I feel the need to separate these things. But no, I think I know, because lots of us right now, well, lots of people around me that are almost already in the 5D have cleaned all their karma, so they don't have any karmic debts. They just have a few more wounds to heal. But the wounds don't necessarily mean there is a karmic debt to pay. For me, in my perspective, that's how I see it when I break a person into smaller pieces. So when it comes to actually going into the 5D, now explaining that, I think there are three. So it's or exiting the karmic cycle, or clearing the karma, healing the wounds, and raising the vibration. But they are the same. Just I have three instead of two.
Yeah.
No, I don't think there's... No. No. No.
I like it. Yeah, I feel like there is a distinction between karma and using that particular that word. I like that. And I wrestle, I go back and forth, but I respect Dolores Cannon's work and what she's revealed and all that. And so and also really, like, for me, as far as like helping other people, it's whatever's going to land for them, and how that fits, and how can I simplify it? Because we're talking about some incredibly complex concepts. And I mean, really, even though like you and I looking at it, we see it as in its simplified form. And I feel like that is an indication based off of our understanding of it, just as like, when I look at like some of the different people that like to really complicate things, it's just they don't understand it well enough. If you need it to be that complicated, you don't understand it well enough. That, or you do, and it's like the business model, the 3D business model of complicate to profit. So you make something so complicated that somebody can't do it themselves, like not even close, right? Look at like IRS tax code, right, in the United States. It's like beyond 7 feet of papers stacked up, and when you really get into understanding that model, you end up finding out that different situations are addressed multiple times with different answers. So it's like, what's my favorite color? Well, here it's green. Oh, well, no, here it's purple. Here it's blue. Here it's yellow. It's every possible answer that they can reference a tax code, but it's addressing the exact same question. What's my favorite color, right? Can I write this off? And it's designed to be so complicated and ridiculous that nobody can figure it out. So then you have this entire whatever, right? And then you can control and manipulate an entire culture based off of that. So, so they understand that it's something simple, but then they complicate it to make it, so you have to go through them. What was my point of saying that? My point of saying that, I guess, is that, be wary. Be wary of people that like to overcomplicate things.
What's complicated usually comes from our ego, because our souls are really simple. And actually the way we function as human beings, as part of these amazing planets, of this amazing universe, is really simple. And with my clients, I always say that I'm not going to give complicated solutions because they're not addressing our essence. What's complicated, it's not for us.
Yeah.
What's simple usually works.
Yeah. And if there's something that isn't quite clear, we don't have a definition for, because I feel like a lot of things that we're moving towards as far as the 5D is, we're really defining what that's even going to look like. What do we want it to look like? And a lot of these different things we don't have words for. We don't have concepts for. Really, I mean, we can feel it, but like I know that I have somebody that is in this space of like twin flame in the world. They're out there. That is for me. I also have connections with other people that are very significant. Like I would say your and my connection is clearly very significant, but what do I call it? I don't know. I don't have a terminology for it. I really don't. But from those particular spaces, maybe part of that is we're defining something that exists, and we'll be getting more clarity about it as we kind of move along and people have insight about what that is. But in that space, we can still feel what's there and just be okay with it, be a yes to it, and stay open. So I think that kind of fits as far as whatever it is. And to me, that's more the childlike curiosity. Yeah.
Yes, and allowing yourself to feel.
Yep.
And acknowledge what you're feeling.
Yep. I agree. Well, we've talked for a pretty good chunk of time. It's pretty good.
And I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
That's
me too.
shocking.
Me too. And I think big surprise there, right? And then from there, it's just us feeling into stuff, and like we can feel when it's like riding that wave. We can feel when the wave is coming down, or to me, it's like the container's closing. And so I can feel that as we're talking now. We've touched on a lot of different things, and then how do we want to close out this particular conversation? Like what would you say are some closing things you'd like to say, or anything that's like feels open? Or
I think the most important thing right now, like the wave that I've been feeling for a few days, is that you should allow yourself to feel and acknowledge and accept when you're not feeling okay, when you feel like something is wrong with you, with your life, with the world around you, and try and find some answers, and not on your own, because that's the hardest way, and it might take some time, and there is no need for you to have it the rough way, because there really is a easier way. There really is. And allow yourself to believe what you are feeling. Allow yourself to accept the thoughts that you've been receiving for a while now. Don't ignore them. Don't put them aside. They are so important. What you are feeling and the thoughts that you are receiving are so important. And I know that you have been used to ignore them because they're not usual thoughts or needs or impulses. I don't know. Don't deny them. Don't reject them.
Yep. Love it. Yay. So if somebody wanted to work with you, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
I think the easiest way is on Facebook. We have our profiles everywhere in our group, and so it's Andrea.Radulescu, which is 444 on Facebook. So it's easy.
Nice. Yeah. Love it. And yeah, as far as, you know, a lot of this stuff, like as we're working with coaching clients and students and things like that, it really is, like, from my perspective, it helps the collective. The more that we're clearing things, I mean, in a base essence, it's raising the vibration. Every time one of us, any of us, raises our vibration, it helps the entire collective. But also, like, as you're progressing, the biggest game of this all, in my understanding, is that there was a singularity, it broke apart. There's all these fractals, the divine fractals of God creator beings, points of consciousness that makes up each and every one of us. And it's really answering the question of, what am I? Who am I? So it's all about experience. So then we're all having our different experiences. It all feeds into the collective. We all get to access all of it from all points of view. And then we're in process of returning to what we are. And it is all of us coming back together, and however you want to particularly look at that. And you can't be whole unless all parts are there. So the more that we can kind of recognize that we're all in this together, and the more that we can help each other, we're all climbing the same mountain. And if somebody's dragging in the ditch or hanging up in the tree or whatever, you know, we all need to support each other in what we're doing. At least have the compassion that we're all having these different perspectives. And so it is that big returning, and we do want to have that loving feeling for each other. That's really kind of the bigger piece of it, in my understanding. So yeah, we need each other. And when we are helping somebody else and having love for them, falling in love with them as they're going through their challenges and all that, and supporting each other, it's just all part of it. It just all fits, in my understanding.
Yep.
Yeah. So for me, yeah, if somebody wants to work with me, or they feel like they're called to the work that I'm doing, or any of the programs that I'm running, or groups, things of that nature, RobbieLove.com, TwinFlameMasters.com. It's on TikTok, Facebook, all those kinds of different things. But yeah, reach out. I think we're both pretty approachable people, right? For the most part.
Yeah, we are.
I don't think I'm super scary. So I don't know. At least I'm
No.
at least I'm working on it. I'm working on it. All right. Well, that feels like, is there anything else? What else? What are we missing? I am working on the thing that's been coming through the past couple days for me is more clarity around the 5D, like, and what we need to do with that, and as far as simplifying the steps and how we can support each other and that kind of stuff. So I'm working on that aspect right now, and I know that's something that you and I have talked about a lot. And I was looking at that. We really started like laying foundations back in September.
Yeah.
September, October, November, December, January. It's been a little bit, but it also feels like it's been forever too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I love you, my dear. I love you so much.
I love you too.
Whoever happens to be listening to this, I love you too. And we're all into this. We're on this together. We really are. So this has been a very, like, I don't know, unique version of Unconditional Love Talks. And I guess it's about, what, an hour and a half? That's pretty good. We can just talk and talk. All right.
We usually do talk and talk. So it's nothing new here. We just record it and post it somewhere. But
yeah. Awesome stuff. All right. I love you, my dear. So
I love you too.
If somebody's watching this Thursdays, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, noon is Eastern Standard Time when we do these on Thursdays. And then in Romania, the time there when we start is
7 p.m.
7 p.m. All right. And then from there, I feel like people can figure it out, right?
Yep.
All right. I love you.
Love you too.